Hello everyone, greetings of peace to you. A very warm welcome to Inner Space in Wembley. It's such a pleasure to have you attend this talk today. My name is Prakash Chugani. I'm based out of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. I am a trainer and a facilitator in the space of leadership, and I do a lot of other soft skills as well, including stress management. So I love this topic, and I love the way it's been put today. Dear stress, let's break up. So it does bring a few interesting aspects of stress forward, shows us how we befriended it. We've had certain uses of stress. However, it has reached a state where it's important for us to call it quits and to move on. So we're going to try and understand what stress is, what have been some of its consequences, or what are some of the consequences if we do not look after ourselves properly or protect ourselves against it, and what are some of the ways in which we can overcome it, move in a way where we don't get troubled or hurt by it. So let's start with that. Before doing anything, let's just relax ourselves. So very quickly, I just want you to be in a place where you're completely free from holding anything, catching anything. Just keep everything away, aside from you. And I want you to just be easy. You may be sitting, you may be lying down, whatever you're doing, just allow every muscle of your body to become loose and easy. And I'd like you to breathe in and breathe out deeply a few times. And every time you breathe in, I want you to relax. And when you breathe out, I want you to relax even more. And with every breath, you deepen that relaxation and you feel more and more calm and comfortable. And now that you feel more physically relaxed, I want you to relax the mind. So I want you to be in the present. You may be holding a lot of things just before coming here for this talk. Lots of things have happened. I want you to just brush that all aside. Yes, you have the power to do that. Just by saying or by instructing yourself that I'm brushing everything aside, you're actually pushing it off. And there may be that can wait for some time. Just instruct yourself that this moment right now is for me and it's for my own development. So I'm going to be here. So be in the present, become aware of everything around you, let your senses become very active. At the same time, stop judging, analyzing, questioning, pulling, pushing, nothing. Just be here and now and just enjoy the journey. Allow it to unfold and have an open mind. Continue breathing deeply. Ensure that your body is still relaxed and your mind is fully present, whilst it's accepting everything as they are, unconditionally. And so we're ready now to begin a beautiful journey. What's the state of mind after this beautiful relaxation exercise? It's more stable, it's calm, it's more collected. There's more clarity and a lot of fuzziness and a lot of other stuff that was unwanted in the mind automatically just clears away. And I feel more serene and peaceful. I step into the space of joy and happiness. And so there's a lot of positivity that is infused within me within just a few moments. Now just imagine you're able to carry the same state with you whilst you're at work, whilst you're executing your business, whilst you're at home, whilst you're interacting with others in relationships. What do you think would be the result of everything that you do? Now, possible, not possible, we're going to see later. But if I was to be able to bring this state of mind in my relationships, in my interactions, in my work, what do you think would be the result of everything that I do? Well, they say that the energy that you put into something is what you would really get back. So if I'm going to put this sort of a positive energy, an energy of power and peace and clarity into things that I'm able to do, that's exactly what I'm going to get back. And well, I'm also a trainer in the space of negotiation. And a very important aspect of it is to go in a negotiation and continue negotiating in a very positive state of mind. And I think we are constantly negotiating. I mean, there's not a single moment we're not negotiating, either with ourselves or with others. We are having conflicts, we're trying to resolve them, we're trying to help people to move from one space to another space, we're trying to convince people, we're trying to, in some way, sell, market. That's something we're constantly doing. And so what they say in negotiations is that if you go with a positive state of mind, you have 30% more access to your brain. Now that's a lot of space that you are able to access if you were more positive. So it's great that we are actually going into anything that we do with this positive state of mind. And when I'm not experiencing these positive states or these positive feelings, then there is stress or various forms of stress. I could be angry, I could be anxious, I could be worried, I might have frustration. There may be so many other negative experiences that may be subtle or maybe very active, and I may be experiencing them and I know that I'm actually having those states, which are not going to really help me in my work. What does it really do to me? What are some of the ways it damages? So let's look at a list of things that stress does, which is not very good. So stress damages. What does it damage really? It damages your, first of all, physical well-being. We know that most of the diseases are psychosomatic. And so when you have a dis-ease in the mind, they say, and if it's not taken care of, manifests sooner or later in a disease in the body. And so it damages us at a physical level. It deprives us from a lot of opportunities. So we are so stressed about something and we are so focused in that particular area that there could be so many other windows of opportunity that have been open around, but we are not watching. It just deprives us of all those possibilities. It depletes our energy. There are times you might have noticed that through the day we've not done too much of work, we've not done anything physical that makes me feel very tired, but it's from morning, say 8 to 5, but I feel so fatigued and I don't know why. Well, it's because of overthinking. We've just been thinking about things which have been useless, and they've been creating a sense of fear or stress or some sort of an anxiety which has not been very good for me. So it actually it leaks the energy that I need to actually be able to store and probably even grow inside. It destroys my mental state of peace. It destroys all virtues that I might have. It destroys my credibility the moment I actually start having stress and start expressing that in my actions and my words. And last but not the least, it depresses. It's not a very good feeling to have. The moment you're stressed and then you have a lot of actions that you've done or words you've spoken because of that stress, and once you're out of it, which you will be eventually, you start feeling guilty. You wonder why you actually felt that way. What was the whole purpose? It was so much of a waste of time, energy, emotion, and maybe even you said things which you would not really want to have said. So it then can be a little depressing as well. So stress is not the best friend to have. But yes, I mean, to give it its due credit, it has had its reasons. It does come because if it was not there, then I might just cross the road blindly without really noticing the traffic. I might not prepare for an examination which is coming up and I could just be too cool and easy about it. I may not pull up my socks and straighten up if I've got to, I could just be so slack about things. So stress at least helps me to get myself in shape in these particular respects. What then is stress? It's a discomforting messenger that wants me to do something or to learn something or to change something. And once I'm able to do, change, or learn something, then I'm able to move forward and the stress is gone. But if I'm not changing, and if I'm going to be the same every single time, then the stress is just going to grow and grow, and it's going to really get the better of me sooner or later. And which is why I need to understand stress. but I don't have to befriend it. And I have to get myself free from this myth that without stress, I can't be productive. Without stress, I can't perform to my peak. Not necessarily. You can have positive motivations. You could be driven because you want to excel, because you believe that there's potential within you and that you're magnificent, and then you got to go forward. So you don't necessarily have to use stress always as a crutch to get you to move, to do things, to produce, to perform. Not at all. Now, what will help us at this juncture would be to make a list of the things that create stress to me personally. If you can make a mental note of it or write it down, then what happens is it will be more practical for me, and I can see how what I'm going to offer you as solutions would really support me personally in the list of things that really cause me stress or regularly cause me stress. So just make a note of that, please. And the first thing I would like to offer is to stop blaming others and take full responsibility for your stress. Because only when I claim responsibility for something can I do some change over that. If I don't take responsibility, I can't change it, because if I'm not responsible for something, I can't change it. Somebody else has to change it. So if I'm going to say you are responsible for my stress and you are responsible for my stress, he is responsible or she is responsible, it does not help me at all. And I need to then think about why is this blame game happening, when all I have to do is say, okay, fine, I'm responsible, which means that I have the ability to respond and nobody else has that ability. So I'm responding to it. So what's the point in me saying you're going to do something about my stress? Giving away your remote control to somebody else, and you giving them permission to stress me when you like or de-stress me when you like. Doesn't help, and we don't want to operate from that space. Now, what are certain things we can do? One is take action. I'm at work and there's some changes that have come there. I've got to upskill myself. I've got to learn a few things, and the moment I do that, stress goes off. But if I'm going to try and avoid that and not really do something about those things, I'm going to constantly keep feeling stressful, and I'm going to keep blaming the management for the changes they've brought, and I'm not going to really help myself. So action, just do it. You have a problem physically, you want to see how you want to overcome it, and if you think that by changing a diet, by bringing in some sort of a regime, you're going to be able to do something, just go and take action, and you'll be able to go forward and be successful, and then the stress is going to go away. So many times you just have to take action, and you're okay. You could be late regularly, or you might be having a habit that you want to overcome. You got to go take action. You got to find ways and do things. So there has to be that particular state of wanting to move forward and doing things. Another aspect that will support me in overcoming my stress would be just to change the way I look at things, change my perspective of the world outside. Because they say that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. There's a beautiful story about two siblings who grew up together, same surroundings, same family. One of them turned up to be a drunkard, and the other one a teetotaler, would never touch liquor. And when both of them were asked, how is it, the first one was asked, how is it that you were a drunkard? He says, well, what am I to do? My dad was a drunkard, and every day I would see him drinking, so I'm also a drunkard. The second person asked the same question, how come you don't drink at all? He says, well, my dad was a drunkard, and what was I to do? I saw all the damages that was created to him and to the others, and I promise I'm never going to touch anything at all from there onwards. So same surroundings, everything is the same, context is the same. However, the way I look at things is different, and therefore I do different things and I get different results. So it's important for us to see how am I looking at things in life. For example, let's say there's a person in your life who's creating you stress. Now you could look at that person as somebody who's very nasty and who's rude and who's really there to put you down, or a perspective that will help you is that I'm a student of life. And if I was a student of life, everywhere I'm going and whoever I'm meeting, there's some lesson that they want to give me. And so I want to start understanding them as my teachers. And so the moment I change this perspective of this person who's giving me something which is not very easy to take as a teacher, there to teach me and to strengthen something within me, then the way I look at that person will be of, I mean, how would a person look at it as a teacher? I mean, if I was a teacher, I would always respect that teacher because, I mean, I feel that I'm gifted with knowledge by them. So the moment I change this perspective and start looking at myself as a student of life and everything else that comes to me as teachers, there's more respect there. And so the stress is not there anymore because it's a part of learning, it's a part of my own development. And in fact, that is a truth because whatever stress that you've had, and if you look back into your life and if you see that there were some times when there was a lot of stress, what you would also notice is during those moments, there were certain things within you that emerged, some power that emerged, a virtue that suddenly, was there always, but it was quite dormant. And because of this situation, it suddenly came to life. And you suddenly had a more stronger belief about you. And because that was emerged, there were so many other things that you could do because of that fact. So it's nice for you to start understanding that I'm a student of life. Whatever comes in front of me, they are my teachers. So there's a formula I'd like to bring before you. It's P divided by R equals SOM. P is pressure, which is the external pressure that we face every day. R is resilience, which is your inner ability to face the pressures that come and to be able to bounce back from setbacks. And SOM is the state of mind. When pressure is high, resilience is low, your state of mind is going to be very bad. It's going to be tough to be able to see things and to navigate or to even think properly because there's so much pressure, but there's no resilience inside. So you're really in a you're in big soup. Whereas if resilience were high, pressure, usually if you see the way things are, more responsibilities, more demands, more deadlines that are coming in front of me. So pressure is constantly going up. Resilience, if the resilience was to match, or even if not match, but if it was greater than the pressure, your state of mind is perfectly fine. You're okay. So the idea is to see how. So before that, if you're asked, what do you have control over, the pressure outside or the resilience inside? Well, obviously, we have more control over the resilience within ourselves. And I can build my resilience and I can do certain things to see how I become far more stronger and I can bounce back from setbacks. And then if I have that ability, then I'm not so bothered about the pressure. State of mind is okay. I'm pretty calm, relaxed, and I'm quite confident. What can I do to build my resilience? A good place to start is to understand that I am the creator of my own thoughts. And if I'm the creator of my own thoughts, what sort of thoughts would I want to create? Because that's how I'm going to be feeling. So I want to create thoughts that are powerful, that are empowering, that are useful. And so I need to think about those thoughts, not when I'm in the state of stress, but I need to actually have a reservoir of such beautiful thoughts that are going to support me and that can be those anchor thoughts that I can go back to anytime I want them. So one of the thoughts that I have is, this too shall pass. I know for sure everything that comes has to go. It's not going to last forever. And so when I know that and I'm able to create that thought, not just when something happens, but I've created it earlier, I've experienced it, I've understood it, and I have full faith in that thought. And there's an anchor that I've created for myself. So then whenever a time comes, I just create that thought, this too shall pass. And I feel very nice because I know it is pass. It's going to pass. It has to. And so when I'm having a thought that I can anchor, which can empower me, that becomes a mantra, which really empowers the mind. And so you can also think about certain thoughts that you can anchor for yourself and you can use them whenever you think you need them. And so that builds the strength within yourself when you need it most. There are other thoughts that I like to create and to experience. One of them is that I am eternal. And when I kind of get to understand and really experience this aspect of eternity, nothing can really hurt me or harm me. And so that's a very nice thought that I have. Another good thought that I usually get myself to create is that I'm combined with the Supreme. I'm protected by the Supreme. The Supreme is with me. And so when I create such like thoughts again, I understand the Supreme to be the Almighty Authority, the one who has all powers. And so when I have Him with me, even if I'm weak, I have nothing to worry because the Almighty is my protector. So these are certain thoughts that I carry with me, and with understanding, with experience, and they have been anchored in me, and so they are like mantras for me. Just connecting with these thoughts makes me much more powerful. In fact, what is meditation, or what is yoga really? It is the ability to have certain thoughts that you've created out of understanding and with experience. And when you're able to go and connect with those thoughts, you become stronger, more peaceful. In fact, you reach the state of normalcy that you are, which is peaceful, powerful, courageous, happy, blissful, all these beautiful qualities which are usually natural for us. Well, it's another thing now that they are not normal, but they are very natural for us. So that's what meditation does. That's what is yoga, right? Connection, putting yourself in that particular space. So that's a very beautiful way of building resilience. What else? Understanding myself better can make me far more resilient. My usual way of looking at and understand myself from a more spiritual standpoint, not just from a materialistic standpoint. Because in a materialistic standpoint, everything that I have is subject to change, is temporary. And if that's my only identity, then I'm trying to hold on to those. And because of that, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of resistance that obviously would translate into stress. But when I look at myself from a more spiritual standpoint, then I'm a spiritual being who is peaceful, who's courageous, who's happy, who is powerful. I'm accurate, and I can list a host of qualities and virtues that lie within me. So if I can see myself with understanding, there is nothing for me to worry then. There is the weakness that would usually emerge by me being attached to things that are physical completely finishes, because nobody can take this away from me. That is a truth that I am, and it's not that I will be when. So that's a very important distinction. When I talk about really understanding yourself, it is about who I am versus who I will be when something happens. So I will not be a peaceful person when something takes place. I'm not going to be happy when an event happens. I'm not going to be powerful if this should happen. No, I am peaceful, powerful, pure, happy. That's the state that I'm able to bring myself into. And then from there, it's a very different way of looking at myself. A space which is completely free from fear or from loss or from, wanting approvals from somebody. Because that's another space there where a lot of stress comes from, where I'm seeking approval from others. And I feel that I seek approval from others because I do not approve of myself. This way of understanding your spiritual self is really, approving yourself, accepting yourself, and connecting with this magnificent self that you are. So this thing about what will others say, will others approve of this? And there's a lot of inner struggle that takes place just trying to do that. Now that brings me to a few things that we do when we look at others, which is not a nice thing to do. If you look at others, appreciate them. They say the good thing about appreciation is something that belongs to somebody else now belongs to you. So appreciate the quality that you have And when you appreciate it, see how you can also imbibe and inculcate that quality, that virtue, or that particular skill. What we should not be doing when we look at others is criticize. We should not be complaining. We should not be competing or even comparing. Because if I'm engaging in any of these things, then there's a lot of negativity that emerges within. There's a lot of jealousy, or there could be a lot of ego, and there may be certain things like, let's say, just as a competition, for example. It's something that we see very often, and that can create a lot of stress as well. When there's this competition that happens, and if it's not very healthy, then I'm just trying to be better than somebody else, and I'm not able to see somebody else succeed. I operate from a scarcity mentality. So I'm trying to pull that person down. Even if I don't go up, at least you don't have to go up. So let's be together. It's like the crab mentality, which is extremely poor in terms of how we live, if that's the state of mind that we're going to be in. Whereas we need to be more abundant, and we need to be able to see others grow, knowing that if they are growing today, then it's going to be my chance tomorrow. There is this particular aspect of growth in the organization, so fantastic, let that person grow. Otherwise, I'm seeing that person grow and I don't feel nice about it. I'm trying to pull that person down. Even my own growth, I don't appreciate much, because I might grow and I might have this, say, let's say for example, I get this 10% increase in my salary this year. I feel very happy, but until I find out that my colleague got a 15% increment, and suddenly my whole happiness goes for a toss. So comparing and competing, absolutely waste. Complaining becomes a habit. Everything that I see, I start complaining. So instead of all these, what is the better space to be in? It's contentment. Contentment is such a beautiful jewel that's so invaluable. And I believe many times we misunderstand the word contentment. We feel that if I'm content, I'm not going to be progressing, I'm not going to be achieving things, I'm not going to be moving forward. No, contentment only means that you're not comparing yourself with others, but you're content in that space. You really are happy for all the gifts that you got. You're able to look at yourself much more larger than just some physical attributes of yourself. And so you're content from that perspective. But you also understand that there's a massive potential within you that has to be explored and has to be achieved. And so you're still working towards becoming excellent, towards going forward, towards moving, and making yourself really achieve that potential that is yet left untapped. So just a quick recap on what are all the things we're supposed to be doing as we're moving forward. We are not blaming others for the stress that we have. We are taking action in those areas that I can. I'm developing a better perspective. When I change the way I look at things, the things that I look at change. I'm building resilience by realizing that I'm the one who's creating my own thoughts. And so I'm creating some of the best thoughts possible. And I have a reservoir of these beautiful thoughts that I can bring to the surface whenever I think I need them. I am able to identify myself in a spiritual space, and so I'm developing that side as well, which is important. And finally, I am learning to be more content by not just comparing, criticizing, complaining, and competing with others. So that's something that I'm doing. And if I'm able to do these well, brilliant. There's one very important thing I need to do in order for me to take care of all these things. And that is to pause. I need to learn to pause. What does that really mean? What is a pause? So you have a pattern of these thoughts, pattern in terms of the habits that I've created over a period of time. And that's been going on for a long period of time. So now what I need to do is I need to stop it. I need to see if I can interrupt those patterns. And one of the best ways to do that is, hey, pause. Just as there's music playing, you just press a button and it stops all of a sudden. Can I do that with my thoughts, the train of thoughts that are coming, and just have to pause it And actually, it's very simple. All that it requires is attention, just paying attention and awareness of it. So, for example, you're just sitting there right now in front of the screens, you're watching, listening. You may not be very aware of the posture in which you're sitting. But the moment I speak about posture, you suddenly become aware of it. And you kind of think about, hey, what's the posture with which I am sitting? Or whether you're smiling or not. You may not even know whether you've been serious all this while or you've been smiling. But when I just talk about it, you start paying attention to it. So everything that you're suddenly speaking of, you become aware of it. And then immediately your attention goes over there. Similarly, you just have to start becoming aware of what am I thinking? Just paying attention and saying, okay, what's happening inside me right now? The moment you ask yourself that question, you're actually creating a sort of a pause there. And you give this pause and then you're able to see what is it that I'm thinking so far. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. So in other words, you're thinking about your thinking. And from that space on, you're then able to create whatever thought you want. You're able to divert it to any space that you require. And you're able to then, say, hey, why am I, holding this sense of comparison with this person? I can see that's creating an unnecessary stress inside. So why can't I be more content and see the things that I have and see what else I could do within my own capacity and be a better me, be the best version of my own self rather than trying to be the second best version of somebody else. So these are certain ways that you can do that, but you must learn to pause, interrupt patterns by simply paying attention to what's happening inside, what's happening in my mind. So it needs to be a habit that we create, like we are trying to see, hey, what's happening there, what's happening in that space. Stop for a moment and say, what's happening internally? What am I thinking right now? And how could I enhance it, increase it, improve on it? In other words, pause, ponder, and proceed. When you say ponder, you're really trying to see what's happening and you're trying to enhance, improve, increase, redirect, and then you're proceeding in that direction. Simple. Let me just take you through a small journey and let's just practice this pause, ponder, proceed. So I just want you to relax where you are, on the chair, wherever you may be, and I want you to think about yourself standing at a railway platform. And you are just observing trains arriving and departing on either side of the platform. All you're doing is just watching, doing nothing to them. And just as you're doing that on that platform, I want you to now look at yourself standing on the platform of your mind, watching your thoughts arriving and departing. You're doing nothing about it. You're just watching them. They're coming, they're going. You are detached observer. And as you do that, you take full control on yourself now. And then you decide to choose the thought that you want to. And so you create the thought. Right now, I choose to feel marvelous. I choose to feel powerful. I choose to understand I'm resourceful and I have all the abilities within me to tackle everything. There isn't any problem bigger than me. I'm ready to take up any challenge. Now, this is a nice way of just looking and watching what's happening in the mind, those thoughts, and then as you do that, kind of slowly but steadily, you're quietening the mind, you're clearing out all those thoughts, and then you consciously create the thought that you want. You want to focus in a certain direction, you want to do something, you want to feel better, you want to think something higher, you can do all of those things. Now, there is a virtue that I would like to introduce here, if you've not already picked it up before, which is going to be exceptionally helpful to support us in states of stress. And this is especially in cases where you can't do anything about certain things and you feel really stressed. You say, I can't really change this thing. I can't do anything here. I mean, I did everything and I could, but constantly I'm being, hit by this. And I can't do anything about it. And I know that there are so many things that can be there. And the virtue that is required is acceptance. It's so important for me to understand acceptance, and not as something that I'm forcing myself out of no choice that I accept, but you're accepting things from a standpoint of strength, understanding, and from the spirit where you feel that it's important for you to accept because it's going to make things far better sooner or later. And you have choices. So it's not accepting because I have no choice in that space, but I still have choices. For example, I remember doing this workshop with some people working in a bank, and there was this lady saying, you know what, I'm working this bank because I have no choices. I'm not being paid well, I have colleagues who are terrible, and I'm so stressed here, but I have no choice. I've got to work here. And so even though I'm accepting it, I'm feeling terrible. And when I just did a little bit of questioning, she was able to understand that she had immense opportunities available outside that bank. She could start something of her own. She could just stay at home and be there as as a homemaker perhaps. Or she could have partnered with somebody in something else. She could have gone to another organization and probably be paid lesser, whatever the case may be. But there were immense other avenues for her to choose from. However, she chose to be in that environment. Although she felt it was terrible and bad and this and that, but she still had a choice. So, but that does not mean that because you have a choice, you have to exercise it. But realize that I am taking this particular one up, I'm choosing it, and so let me accept whatever comes my way. So we are in families, we are having maybe managers, we have people that might be a little bit tough to deal with. But that does not mean you just have to change those people around you, but you accept them. Accept them for who they are. Why should you accept them? Because when you accept, you're creating a very positive energy. You are able to feel good about your own self, and you're able to look at them in a different light. But if you're not accepting, what are you doing? You're rejecting. You're creating a negative energy, a vibration that's not going to be in any fashion helpful. So what happens is then, because of that energy that goes out, that's the same energy that's going to constantly come back in. But when I start accepting purely from the space of the fact that there's a lot of positive energy in acceptance, and I create positivity. So your acceptance is not with negative energy. Oh, I gotta accept this person. I've gotta accept this. No, but I accept this situation as it is. Okay, and then from that standpoint, there is positive energy that flows out, and that sooner or later you will find that that positivity has created different avenues, has made things much better for you and for the other person, and things will change. But start accepting and start seeing what magic happens from that space. So freeing yourself from stress is not very difficult, but it requires a discipline. There are certain rituals that I like to share with you that I have in my life created that supports me throughout my day. Every morning, I spend at least half an hour to an hour meditating. And so I'm practicing how I can move from expansion to essence, how I can, you know, go deep within myself and experience stillness there. How do I just immediately put a pause when I require it to be done? And how I can create some of the most magnificent thoughts about my own self. And so when I'm doing that, and I'm repeatedly doing that, I am obviously emerging so many wonderful things that would otherwise just be dormant outside there. So that self-discovery is constantly going on, and it's evolving, and it's becoming much better. And I've been doing this for many years now. So it's nice to have a practice of meditation which will support you in strengthening the mind, because that's what you're doing in meditation. It's a way to build rigor and strength and muscle to the mind, because what is the food that we give to our mind? It's our thoughts. Everything that I'm creating as a thought is what I'm feeding to the mind. And if I need to take care of myself as a healthy mind, I want to feed it healthy thoughts. Do I consciously do that every single day? That's the discipline that's required. So morning, a beautiful time, and I obviously wake up earlier than I would if I didn't have to meditate. And so I've given that specific time for myself. Through the day, I take breaks when I have to pause and once again create those anchor thoughts, bring out some thoughts about myself, which are very powerful and empowering, and then I move forward and continue my day. And so those pauses through the day help me a lot. Otherwise, what happens is we can become very action conscious and time conscious, and there can be a lot of stress that gets built over time. And so whenever I consciously stop myself, immediately everything else gets diffused. And it's like pressing the reset button, and I once again come back to this space of being that natural person that I was early in the morning, and I start from there again. So what I notice therefore is my energy levels are high, and because I keep pausing, even before the energy depletes, it's pumped back and it's gone back to a space which is very nice. That's a good practice for us to have, and a very important part of a ritual that you want to have is before you go to sleep. What are you doing? What are you thinking before you go to sleep? Because it's nice to have a sound sleep. Well, I mean deep sleep, right? We want to have deep sleep. So a lot of the thoughts that you have before you sleep is what gets carried into your sleep and your dreams, and then that can make it either, deep, nice, good sleep, or it can be disturbed. And then it's not the quantity. You might sleep so many hours, but you still wake up and you feel terrible. But if you have good sleep, then you could do some journaling before you go to sleep. You could meditate 10-15 minutes. You could read something which is very positive before you go to sleep. All of this works on you so that when you have nice sleep, you wake up. In fact, you carry those same thoughts that you slept with. And then you continue your day with that positivity. And so then you can see how your entire day moves on. So there is that discipline that must be brought in if we require ourselves to be free from stress. One more thing that I practice is I try to be independent in most of the things that I got myself to do. So be it doing the laundry, or it has to do with cooking, getting the food done, work-wise, whatever the space may be, I tend not to depend on anybody else. Even if somebody does things for me, it's perfectly okay. And if they don't do it for me, it's perfectly okay, because I have slowly but steadily started getting myself, at least for the things that I believe I need on a daily basis to survive, I've become independent. And so I feel that has helped me a lot in being able to stay free from stress, because I don't need to sweat when something doesn't happen the way I want it to be happening. So then I just go and do it myself. That's a nice practice. Another one is I try and see how, at least for some time every single day, I make myself available to serve others altruistically without any expectations. And that could be in terms of helping them to overcome a problem, sharing some wisdom that I've picked up from somewhere else, or it could just be at a physical level helping somebody out for something that they're probably doing. But every single day I like to be connected in some way to serving others. And I think that's a very good space to be in, because when you're giving and you're sharing and you're available without any expectations from others, you realize that there's no question about stress. It's only when my expectations are there and they're not being met that I get stressed about things. And so when I'm available to serve without expectations, I'm slowly but steadily developing that habit of, even if there were otherwise areas where I would serve wanting things to happen and expecting things, if they don't come to me, I'm not paralyzed, or I don't go insane. I'm able to still see, watch, and okay, I could be there asking for what I want, but I don't get stressed when I don't get it in the way that I want it to be. So I think that's a good practice to also get myself into. So if everything I do has a commercial value to it, then it's very difficult for me to taste the other side of how I could do without expectations. Because sometimes I do see people doing good things. They are there to help, but then it's very quick that they are able to, proclaim that they've actually helped in that space. So with that, it's time for a final brilliant meditation, and I'd like to guide you through this. It's a very nice piece that helps you to in some ways summarize a lot of things that we've actually learned today. So ease yourself, relax your body, and I want you to visualize yourself walking somewhere in town which has a lot of tall buildings, and there's one nice beautiful building that you get into. You take an elevator, go right to the very top of that building, and then you come out of this elevator and you see this large room completely surrounded by glass, which means that you can actually see outside this building. And so you come to the place where you have a nice view of the streets below. You're seeing the cars go around, you see people walking, and they're really tiny, and so you're really high up in this tower. And you notice a very comfortable, cozy chair in the center of this room, so you just go there and sit down whilst you're still able to see outside these windows. And just as you begin to relax, you notice that the weather is changing. There's a storm that's coming, and it's coming very fast. The whole color of the sky has changed now, and there's this very strong wind that has picked up, because of which a lot of things are being hurled onto the building, and it's hitting those glass windows. You're a little scared to start with, a little cautious. But soon you realize that you are in a very, very strong building, and nothing is going to ever touch it or break it. And so when you realize that, you relax, you calm down, and then slowly, steadily, you notice that the storm eases out, everything goes back to normal, the sky is once again clear, and then you stand up and you realize that just like this building, that's your physical body, and you're right on the top, just watching through the windows of your eyes everything that's happening around you. You're that beautiful, brilliant person who's in this tower of your body. You're watching everything around you. Things could be completely normal and you could be comfortable inside. And even when you have storms around you, you realize that inside you are still safe and protected and nothing can actually harm you. They may seem very threatening externally, but internally you are sorted, you are strong, you are powerful. Nothing can touch you. And so you then slowly but steadily create this beautiful thought for yourself. I am the master, the one who creates my thoughts. I choose not to be a victim to things around me, but always create powerful thoughts. Because when I create powerful thoughts, I become powerful. And there is no limit to the amount of power that I can create within, because there are no limits to the thoughts that I can create for myself. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'd like to acknowledge your patience, your presence today. I enjoyed being available to share whatever I had, and I hope you can go back with something at least that will support you in overcoming everything, at least if not everything, but some of those things that you're going through which is creating a lot of stress in your life. Wish you all the very best.